What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be absolutely insane for the stock market as we have the election coming up and some very, very big results. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends very soon, in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market and Tesla. Looking at Tesla, we're on a bit of a downtrend right now, but the question now remains what's going to happen after the election. Now, Tesla's trying to base very close to this 240 area, and whether or not we see some kind of big bounce or not depends on the election results, in my personal opinion. Now, that's going to be very, very key for us. So we're going to be looking for a big reaction, especially by Wednesday, once we get the big results. And hopefully they come out by then. So that's why I want to focus a lot on the different factors affecting Tesla. I'll break down the charts. The overall market came down quite a bit. We saw a lot of finance sectors, not to mention a lot of tech stocks, just really, really slowing down today. We saw Apple in the red, Google in the red, Tesla came down as well after some new news came out. And that's why the market kind of performed the way it did. So what's happening with the markets? What's actually going on? There's some fear that's building right now in the broader markets, which is also affecting Tesla. There's fear about the election that's coming. There's a lot of fear right now. That's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum indicators are also at fear as we get very close to 125 daily moving average on the S&P 500. And then we also have the puts and call option ratio going up because there's a lot more fear building. There's a lot more shorts piling in. We're seeing more puts being bought than before. That's what's causing this to go up, thus slowing the market down. The VIX is neutral right now. We do have a gap to fill below. So will the VIX get a rug pull, or is the VIX about to, rocket back up? We'll just have to wait and see. I also want to mention that there's not much else going on, at least in terms of that. We're just waiting for the election. So that's going to be a big factor that's dictating how we're going to be moving. Now let's talk about tomorrow. So as a reminder, okay, tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. In the morning, we have some exports and imports data, but it's very, very minor. And at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the S&P Global Composite PMI and Global Services PMI coming out. This may cause some volatility, so we'll see about that. And then at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the ISM Services PMI, new orders, employment, and prices. So the most important thing is going to be new orders, as it gives us more insights about the future. So for the first 15 and 30 minutes of market open tomorrow, okay, don't forget, guys, there's going to be some volatility because of this data, but this is still going to be very minuscule relative to what's about to come later on. So that's pretty much it for market open data. When the market's open, that's all the data that's coming out. Some ISM services data. Might be some volatility here and there, but then after that, I do think the market will slow down. And then the final hour of the day is going to be pretty wild because we'll see what the market's trying to price and what they're thinking. Because after the market closes tomorrow, we have the notorious presidential election results that should be coming out. Sometimes they are a bit delayed depending on conspiracies, depending on what people try to say, depending on the counting, whatever you guys want to say. Like, it's up to you to interpret whatever you want, but I'm just trying to say that sometimes the results could be a little bit delayed. So hopefully the results come out by Tuesday night, and that's going to cause a big reaction most likely in the stock market by the time we get to Wednesday. So just keep that in mind, guys. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen. So assuming we do get the results by Tuesday night, okay, this is going to be big. We have this huge election going on between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Let me be very honest, okay? The overall reaction to them winning, we could get a similar reaction because I know different sectors will run differently depending on who wins and etc. So if we get, Trump and he ends up winning, okay, we're going to see Bitcoin pump really hard. Tesla's going to pump very hard. And then some individual oil stocks are going to pump alongside the whole market might actually pump a bit. But some sectors could actually slow down a little bit depending on, what's been said in the past, especially when it comes to like Google and some previous comments. So we'll see about that. But this would be more positive for the markets just initially. Okay, just initially, the initial reaction is all I'm talking about. Because even if we do get a pump and dump, regardless of who wins, the market will still remain bullish by the time we get to the second, third, fourth year of their terms, right? But for the initial reaction with a Trump victory, we will be looking for Bitcoin to pump, especially Tesla. The market's going to try to push, and then some tech stocks as well. oil. Energy is going to love it as well because of the way in which he's going to incentivize other countries to get involved and then try to bring in a lot more revenue with these new regulatory changes. Now, what about Kamala Harris? What if she ends up winning? What if Harris ends up winning and becomes the president? Well, in my personal opinion, I think there could still be a run, but it's going to be a little bit more nuanced. And what I mean by that is Bitcoin might actually slow down if she wins. Bitcoin's going to likely start off with a bit of a dip. The run is going to come a little bit later if she were to win for Bitcoin. So it may take like a few months to get that really big run. But there's going to be an initial temporary sell-off in Bitcoin if she wins. And then something like Tesla is going to likely sell off after how involved Elon Musk has been in the election. So some Teslas, some Bitcoins may sell off, but I'm not finished yet. So don't throw hands just yet. Okay. Other stocks are going to run. Like Google's going to likely run. We might see Meta run. We might see some big tech run. We could even see Amazon run, maybe. But some big tech stocks are going to run very nicely. And the whole market may even see an interesting reaction. It could still be to the upside, even if Kamala Harris wins. So that depends on how they interpret her. But, in my personal opinion, Tesla in particular, and then also Bitcoin might actually slow down if Kamala Harris wins just initially. Some other stocks like the Googles, Amazons, and etc., they can also run. So there still could be runs here and there. I only say this based off their policies, and I say this in a very unbiased manner. And it's also because of how involved Elon Musk has been in Trump's campaign. So that's my personal view, and I think that's going to be the most likely case. But overall, I think that even if Kamala wins, the whole market, most stocks could still run. I still think that just some specific sectors may be a little bit slow. And if the other guy wins, the same thing would happen. We're going to see more sectors run, especially like the Teslas and the Bitcoins. All right, energy too. So that's what my view personally is. But here's the thing, guys. It doesn't matter who wins in a way because the effects that are going to be coming to the economy because of the Fed will still be a lot more profound. Donald Trump has spoken and given his views of Jerome Powell, and he said, he doesn't support him and this and that. And he will incentivize the Fed to be more dovish, to cut more and cut more quickly, which is something that could be a near-term catalyst for the market, which is part of why the market may run. But just know that there could still be economic turmoil coming regardless of who ends up winning. I did talk about this as a possibility in one of my previous videos. So if that's the case and the market does slow down later on, we could still get a sell-off early next year regardless of who wins, followed by another big rally to the end of next year and then for many years to come. So the market's going to have the same reaction, right? There's going to be a big rally continuing in 2026, 2027. Even if the short term has some turmoil, I just want to make that very clear. I'm trying to be very unbiased when I say that. I was simply just talking about the short term reactions, which are going to be a little bit different depending on who wins. Anyways, for earnings, I'm going to be kind of quick with this. Palantir has their earnings right now. They're doing very well. Supermicro has them tomorrow. And then we have ARM, AMC, and a few more for Wednesday. Not to mention Rivian announcing earnings for Thursday, and then DraftKings and a few more. So we'll see how things go. Palantir actually is doing really well right now. They beat on EPS with 10 cents adjusted. Revenues at 726 million above expectations. And their guidance is quite good, expecting 2.8 billion in revenue above expectations, which is a nice surge, showing revenue growing by about 24% year over year, which is bullish news, which is why the share price is up. As far as Tesla's news goes, there are just a couple of things I want to talk about. Kathy Wood remains bullish on Tesla. I made another video about that, especially when she's talking about the robotaxi. Not too sure about the exact date of it, when it's going to officially come out, but still it's bullish. The Chinese sales dipped a little bit for Tesla to about 68,280 for the month of October, down 5.3% from a year ago. A little bit of a dip, not necessarily a surprise. Could the rumors and talk about the Tesla new model refresh of the Juniper Model Y basically coming out, could that be the factor that's kind of slowing down sales a little bit? Maybe, could be that. It could also be because of the fact that we just finished the quarter, and typically when a quarter ends, you do see sales decrease a bit. So those are like two factors kind of like affecting this. Is the 2025 Model Y Juniper coming out? Maybe, but it's not 100% confirmed by Tesla quite yet. I would love to see it, though. It would be very, very bullish. Many sources are saying it's going to likely be coming out, and that could be one reason why their sales are kind of decreasing a little bit for the Model Y. Volume is at 68 million, a little bit below average, not to mention the fact that short volume is still kind of on a bit of a downtrend. And then on top of that, Piper Sandler gave Tesla an overweight rating. Barclays is kind of giving them an equal weight rating. And that's it for now. The price-price ratio is still dipping a bit. None of this data matters as much. It depends more on the elections. So that's what we're basically waiting for. So with that said and done, what is my view of the market and the election? As of right now, Tesla's on a bit of a downtrend. We have resistance to watch for at 244 and then 246, which is where our 20 EMA is. If that breaks, we could get very close to about 240, 249, very close to where our 20 EMA happens to be. If Tesla's bearish, we end up losing 242. We're looking for basically 239 as our targets, not to mention 235 below that. So those are your levels to watch for. In my opinion, Tesla's going to see likely a little bit of a dip tomorrow morning, just like how we did today, and a lot of consolidation in around the 240 to 244 area. I think we're just going to consolidate a lot tomorrow, and then we're waiting for a big reaction. So for Tesla specifically, if we get a Harris victory, Tesla's going to be dipping because of how involved Elon Musk has been, and because of other factors like that. I'm not going to get too political. But if we get a Trump victory, Tesla's going to rocket back up, and this thing is going to be running to the 300s pretty easily. It's going to be running like crazy, especially with Elon Musk involved, and because of all the benefits that could come with that. So that's based off what Musk has said about the robotaxi and the things that Tesla is doing. So I'm not here to kind of force anything down anyone's mouths. You guys can believe whatever you want. I'm just saying what's the most likely case when you consider the fact that the CEO, Elon Musk, is favoring one candidate very, very heavily. So that's the reason why Tesla is going to respond the way I am saying. For SPY, we are looking a little bit weaker right now. And I say that because we pumped here, rejected, pumped here, rejected, pumped here, rejected over and over and over again, basically just kept on happening. So that's significant because this is continuing to downtrend. Going into tomorrow, I do want to call out the fact that we have support at 568 and then 566 below that if that fails. And we have resistance to watch for at 570. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of pop in the morning just like how we did today and then we start dipping. And there could be a risk of 568 all over again, if not a little bit lower, maybe 566. But I think at the very least 568, so we're going to see most of the price action, a small dip, then a buyback. And then, excuse me, after that, I think that regardless of who wins, there might be a bounce coming to SPY. That's a little bit more probable to me. Whether we get a Harris victory or a Trump victory, this thing might actually bounce after Election Day. I do lean a little bit more in that direction. We'll see just to be safe. For ES, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're looking for basically 5720 is the main support down here. Might be dipping closer to that. Then we'll see if we get a big bounce back up to about 5750 or not, or if we start dumping all the way down to the lower 5700s. We do look a little bit more bearish, but we'll see if we get a bounce or not, so give this the time it needs and be very, very patient nonetheless. I presume that 5720 is most likely going to be coming, and then we'll see what happens with the big election and the results that are basically attempting to come out. So just keep that in mind, guys. That is what I am most likely going to be projecting. For other factors out there, I want to also call out the fact that we are developing very, very nicely for other stocks such as Nvda. Nvda pumped to 140, but I warned everyone that the move might not last because of the downwards pressure in the markets. So for tomorrow, it looks like Nvidia is going to be testing 135, if not 133. So look for a small dip on Nvidia. We could see a big bounce depending on the election or a bigger rug pull. So we'll just have to wait and see. Don't forget that, if we do see a Trump win, this might be a little bit more negative for Nvidia because of the tighter regulations that could be coming out on tariffs and such. But we'll see, though. We'll see what the real reaction is. It really depends on different factors. For Bitcoin, this will be pumping very nicely if we do see the guy win. And then, if Harris wins, it'll be the opposites just temporarily before another run later on. So we'll see. Tomorrow it might be pushing for 68,500, then consolidate between 69,000 and 67,000, which is where our range happens to be. So look for a push for 68,500. We'll see how it goes. That's the most likely case for Bitcoin, in my personal opinion. For other factors out there, we also happen to have NQ, which is rejecting on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're looking for 20,200 as our resistance, and we're looking for 20,005 as our support. If that fails, we're looking for 19,900. So I presume there's going to be a dip coming to NQ back down to 20,000. A little bit of a dip, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not, but look for some downside as the most likely case tomorrow morning. And then we'll see what happens once we get our big reaction, depending on who ends up winning. For others out there, such as the QQQ, we're also just range bound between 484 and 489, going back and forth for the last 3 days. I do think that there's a good chance that this is going to be dipping again. It's about 484, maybe a little bit lower, and then we could get bought back up and just consolidate tomorrow. We'll be looking for a big reaction after we get our election results, so we have to give this a little bit more time to develop. So keep that in mind. For Apple, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We have resistance around 222 and support at 220. Expect a lot of consolidation tomorrow, a lot of sideways price action, and then the election is going to cause us either bounce back up towards 224 plus or get a bigger rug pull, so give this the time it needs. For tickers out there such as Neo, Neo happens to have a head and shoulders like structure that's developing right here. If we lose five, we're looking for a bigger dump, and if we don't, we're going to likely just remain in this range. I think tomorrow is going to push for 5.24, and then we'll see how it goes. So that's going to be the most likely case in my opinion. For Netflix, we're just consolidating around 755. I think this is going to likely continue. Not really expecting much. We'll see what happens with the election results. For Celsius, we're trying to push a little bit higher. I think this might be pushing for basically the 32 to 32.5 range. We have a very, very important earnings report within a day or two from now. I think 2 days away. So then we'll see how things end up going with that. So that's what we're waiting for. So look for a little bit of upside for this stock. For Palantir, we're bullish. They had strong revenue. As long as we don't lose, 46.5. If we lose that, we're looking for basically 45 to be retested. But as long as we're above 46.5, I do favor that's going to be pushing for 48 and eventually 50 above that. Looks bullish, guys. So I do anticipate more upside as the most likely case. Supermicro looks like it wants to rebound, but this depends on earnings tomorrow. Will it get a big bounce with earnings or not? Might try to rebound here as it's trying to base around the 25s. If we lose 25, we're looking for 23 as our target. As long as we're above that, we're looking for basically 28. So we'll see how things end up going for a bounce closer to 30. Rivian's trying to push here, going to be looking for a test of 10.37. And once again, a lot of choppy consolidation. We're still waiting to see how earnings end up going. So that's going to be on Thursday. So get ready for Rivian's earnings until then. For other factors out there, we also happen to have the IWM Russell 2000. That's tough resistance at 220. Might be dipping back down to about 218 before it tries to bounce back up. We're stuck consolidating right over here. So we'll see how things end up going. We could be dipping back down to about the 218.5 area, then come back up and just consolidate. So give it some time. Might be a small dip though, so give it the time it needs. For AMD, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We're basically looking for 140 as our support. If that fails us, we're looking for basically 137.5 as our next targets. Look for those potential supports to be tested. It might dip a little bit more approaching the election, and we'll see how it goes. ARM looks a little bit more bearish. We're basically looking for a potential target of around 136. So it might pop a bit and then start dipping for 136. Watch that very carefully. For Coinbase, we're rejecting here. We're looking at resistance around 185 and support around 176. I think we consolidate between 175 and 180 for the majority of the day. And then there could be a bounce coming. It does look like it wants to bounce into the election. We'll see just to be safe, though. If it gets the bounce, we're going to be looking for a break above 192. For Amazon's kind of like a little bit more downtrending right over here. It might be dipping for about 194. Could it bounce after the election to get back up to 200, or does it end up losing 194 to reject? I do anticipate a little bit more downside approaching the election, then we'll see how it goes. For Meta, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. We'll have to see if we could hold 559. I presume it might dip a little bit towards 556 to 559, then get a nice bounce off of that to 565. So a dip and a bounce is most likely coming for some consolidation, and we'll see how the election affects this. Look for a little bit of a chop tomorrow. A dip to about 559 or below, then a move back up and just a lot of consolidation. For Microsoft, we're rejecting here, we're dipping back down. Look at resistance at 412 and support all the way down towards 404. We might be trying to rebound for 412 and just consolidate, so give it some time as well. Google's also kind of stuck here. It's waiting to see if Kamala Harris wins. If she wins, okay, this is going to bounce. This could be a very, very good play because it has to do with a lot of like legal issues and other things that were said. So we'll see about that. But otherwise, we're going to give it more time to develop. DJT is trying to push approaching the election. At this rate, it's going to be hitting 40 soon, and we'll see how it goes after that. The VIX is kind of consolidating, but we have this gap to fill all the way down towards 20.4. Will the VIX get a rug pull after the election to fill this gap, or will the VIX keep running? We'll just have to wait and see. The 10-year is looking more bullish. We'll have to see how that shifts as well. The dollar looks a little bit more bullish. We'll see if it rejects, though. This is going to be a tough resistance near our 50 EMA around 104, so give it the time it needs. With that being said, guys, as far as Tesla goes, anticipate a little bit of downside tomorrow morning, back down towards the low of the day today, then a lot of consolidation for now. But then tomorrow, once we get the election results, hopefully they come out tomorrow. Sometimes they are delayed. There's going to be a very big move after that. So will we see Tesla get the rug pull? Is Tesla going to run? Well, that depends on who we have as our president. Is it going to be Harris? Is it going to be Trump? That's going to be very dependent. So get ready for the election, guys. It's going to be very, very big tomorrow. Hopefully the results are out. And then, whatever happens, happens. I just wish the best for everyone that's involved, all you guys out there, all of the Americans. Because at the end of the day, we just want the best for America. And I just hope for the best for everyone out there. And I try to be very unbiased in my analysis when it comes to what I say. So some stocks will run if Kamala Harris wins, some will fall, even Bitcoin. If Trump wins, some stocks will run, some will fall as well. And then Tesla is also in that group as well. So With that being said, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys tomorrow before the market opens. Please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. I'll be back once again for another update tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Get ready for the election, and peace out.